Allah for the moon and the stars. Praise Him all day for what is and what was. Take hold of your iman, don't give in to shaitan. Oh, you who believe, please give thanks to Allah.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome back everyone watching, boys and girls, to another one of our episodes of Ramadan with the Rafis. Now, inshallah, we have a very knowledge-filled and fact-fun-filled and fun-filled show for you guys today, and we've got a lot of things talking about, and it's quite a lovely topic that we have today, and a topic that, inshallah, will make you feel very happy and very bright this Ramadan. Inshallah. But before we get started, inshallah, I'm just going to talk to my team and introduce them and ask them how they are. How are you, Fatma?
I'm good, alhamdulillah. How are you?
Me? Yeah, no, I'm doing quite well. Assalamu alaikum, guys.
Wa alaikum assalam.
How are you today?
Alhamdulillah. We're doing good.
Alhamdulillah, not bad.
How do you feel coming this close to the end of Ramadan?
So sad.
It is really sad, but like, you know how what we've been saying is like the sadness is kind of like softened by the fact that Eid's coming up, but again, like I know a lot of people are probably a bit anxious about Eid this year and the fact that we probably can't celebrate Eid the way that we usually do, but inshallah there's still, like we said before, like with Ramadan, inshallah it will be what we make it, and inshallah the Ramadan TV Scotland team will be here inshallah to entertain you all during Eid anyway, so inshallah there'll be more than enough things to keep yourselves entertained with.
Inshallah, we really hope that you guys stay with us for Eid, up until Eid and including Eid, inshallah. So today we are going to talk about something that I love talking about, and I think everyone loves talking about, and it's such a lovely topic. So who wants to give us a little description? Or should I try and... I'll see if you guys can guess, right? Okay. It's something that's talked about in the Quran, and it is something that tells us about the rewards we can get if we do things in this life. Does anybody know kind of what I'm talking about?
Maybe, do you have any other hints?
Is
it like a thing? Is it a person?
Is it a place? And any other hints I give is going to give it away too much.
Okay. So it's a place that you go to.
As if you've gained like rewards.
And it's talked about in the Quran.
Talked about. Is it Jannah?
Yeah, exactly. It's Jannah. Well done. I didn't think you guys would ever get it.
Well, your clues were a bit vague.
They were a bit vague, but I mean, I was going to say garden, but then I was like, is that giving it away a bit much? But I think I might have been. So yeah, inshallah, we are going to be talking about Jannah today, and what a lovely topic. I mean, I've been waiting for this topic the whole of Ramadan.
Me too.
It's just such an exciting topic to talk about. So inshallah, we're going to talk a little bit about Jannah and just really what's in Jannah and what we can expect, and inshallah what we are going to work towards.
And I think it's important for us to understand why it's important for us to talk about Jannah, or important for us to learn about Jannah. And I think the key thing here is that like a lot of the time when we're younger, sometimes our parents try to like keep us on the straight path by like scaring us a little bit and scaring us about like Jahannam or
like if you do this will happen.
This will happen, yeah, like the negative aspects.
Definitely.
But inshallah we want to try and bring a very positive message to all of you inshallah that have been trying very hard in Ramadan and that have been pushing themselves, and inshallah you've still got time to push yourselves, so we want to inshallah try and paint this picture of what inshallah we all want to achieve and we all want to accept basically on the day of judgment inshallah. So this is why we want to talk about it, because it's okay for us to talk about the negative things, and sometimes we can get bogged down by the negative things, but inshallah it's really important for us to be optimistic, because that is what our deen teaches us. So I think it's really important for us to understand what Jannah is, what it's like, inshallah what are the kind of things we could get in Jannah inshallah when we go to Jannah,
inshallah.
Because all of these things will then be like a motivation for us and will push us to inshallah work hard to try and get into Jannah inshallah.
Yeah, exactly, and especially in these last 10 days of Ramadan, inshallah will push us a wee bit more to do that little bit extra, so inshallah we can achieve Jannah.
Inshallah.
So inshallah we can start a little bit by talking about some of the descriptions of Jannah. So we're going to start off a little bit vague, and then we're going to go into a little bit more detail about specific aspects. So just now we're going to talk about a vague description of Jannah. So the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has said, I have prepared for my righteous servants what no eye has seen, what no ear has heard, and what no heart has conceived. And that is from Tirmidhi. So basically, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is describing Jannah as something completely out of our imaginations, something that like no one has ever even thought close enough to. Now, we do get some descriptions in Jannah that make you think of things in this dunya. So there might be descriptions of rivers, there might be descriptions of trees, but what we need to remember is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is capable of making things that we've never ever imagined before in our lives. And inshallah, we'll get to see that and we'll get to see how it's different, but we get descriptions that are close to what we know here in this dunya. So if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describes a river, then we might just think of like a little stream going down, or maybe you have a river near your house, or like a little, you might have seen a picture of a river near your park or something, but that won't be nearly as amazing or as exciting as the one in Jannah is going to be, which I think is amazing.
And I think what's important about that is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran tries to link these unimaginable things in Jannah to things that we can actually see and interact with in this dunya, so that we have something to like correlate the descriptions with. So like, for example, if someone was to say something to you that you'd never ever heard before, you would probably spend more time trying to figure out what the thing is than actually be inspired by it or be motivated to try and achieve it. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us about things that we know of in this dunya, so that we've got some like a reference point. But like Aisha said, Jannah is so like unique, so out of this world, so beyond every single thing that we could ever imagine or see, that even though Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has told us these descriptions, told us about things in this dunya that we can kind of relate to in terms of Jannah, but we're still never ever going to get the true picture until inshallah we actually go to Jannah. And what's another interesting thing is that even when we're in Jannah, we will continue to be surprised by every single thing that we see. So whether it's like something tiny like stones or pebbles in Jannah, or whether it's something huge like the mansions, every single thing will have us like totally gobsmacked, inshallah.
And as you were just saying, it's going to be like an out of this world experience if we do get to Jannah.
Inshallah.
But the Quran actually describes Jannah and paradise as being the total opposite of what this world is like. So as you were saying, like there's billions of people on this earth, but not one can imagine what Jannah is like. And you were saying like there's trees, there's rivers, but they're not going to be anything close to the trees that we have in this world, the rivers that we have in this world.
And do you know what's quite amazing about the fact that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has told us that no matter how much you try, you can never imagine the true beauty of Jannah. And it's interesting because like you guys know as well, when we're working with the kids in Al-Mizan, in some of the things that are in the kids' imagination, some of the things that they can make, some of the things that they can draw, like you sit there and you think, mashallah, how vast is your imagination? But even though like our imaginations are so vast and we can think about all these things, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has told us that you're still not even close to the kind of things that are present in Jannah. And what's important is that we look at all of these things and we listen to all of these things, because when we listen to these things, when we learn about these things, inshallah we will want these things, and when we want these things, inshallah it will push us to do the deeds that will inshallah get us to Jannah.
Inshallah.
Inshallah, and that's the whole purpose that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us these descriptions in the Quran and through the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So we have that extra drive, because I know sometimes we might think that, sometimes you see prizes on TV or something and they're like, if you get this answer right in this quiz, then you can win this holiday. And you might think, I really want to study for this quiz, so I really want to win this holiday. And it just pushes you that little extra bit so you can get what you're seeking. Even in like exams and that's why we have our grading systems. They want people to aim to get the highest grades, and for that, so we can see what the end product will be, then we want to work really hard to get there. So inshallah, that is probably the reason why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us such vast descriptions.
Yeah, definitely. One other thing that is actually important as well, that we spoke about how important it is for us to be the best. And inshallah, when you're listening to these descriptions of Jannah, and inshallah the kind of things that we inshallah will see and experience in Jannah, it's important for us to remember that this Jannah itself is the best of the best of the best. And because it's the best, it's made for the people who are the best. So we're talking about how we should always push ourselves, we should always try and go that extra mile, we should always try and go above and beyond what it is we need to do, whether it's in terms of deen or dunya. And inshallah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that's what He wants from us. But especially when it comes to our deen, when it comes to our deeds, when it comes to things that can inshallah bring us closer to Jannah, that becomes ever more important, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has told us Jannah is not just like for anyone from anywhere. Selected people will be selected on the Day of Judgment from everything that they've earned in this dunya. Like, are they like qualified enough from their deeds to enter Jannah? Because Jannah is not a joke. Jannah is not just for fun for anyone. You have to have earned Jannah to inshallah get to Jannah.
And just like us right now, the people at the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam's time, they were so curious about Jannah. And imagine like being at his time, being able to ask him what Jannah looks like.
Exactly, ask the Prophet sallallahu directly.
Exactly. So one person asked him about what the buildings of paradise will look like, and the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that there'll be bricks of gold and silver, and mortar of fragrant musk, pebbles of pearl and sapphire, and soil of saffron. And he says whoever enters it is filled with joy and will never feel miserable. He will live there forever and never die. And their clothes will never wear out and their youth will never fade.
Subhanallah.
How amazing is
like
that?
you were talking about not that long ago, I think it was one of your facts out about trees in Jannah that are being made of, the trunks will be made of gold. So like you said, in this dunya, we can never imagine even one tree trunk made of gold. But in Jannah, not only will the trees inshallah be made of gold, but the bricks of the houses will be made of gold and silver. Now when we think of gold and silver, we think of like fancy, expensive, unique jewellery, and like it's not always something that everyone can afford. It's not like, sometimes when people want these things, they have to save up quite a lot of money to buy it, and then when they do buy it, they have to be extra especially careful that they don't lose it or break it, because these things are very, very valuable. But look then at the value of everything in Jannah. The fact that even the bricks of houses, if we think of the bricks of houses or buildings in the dunya right now, if someone was to say, like, even if you're like filthy rich and you were to say, I want all the bricks of my house to be made of gold, the builders would look at you like, are you serious? Like that can't happen. That's not how construction works. And we use like very like things completely opposite to gold and silver for our buildings in this dunya. And when it talks about the mortar, which is like the cement of the bricks, will be musk. We know musk is like a very strong, very nice perfume, and we know that everything in Jannah will smell really, really nice. No wonder if the cement of the houses in Jannah are like smell of musk. And we know, like, for example, if you go past like anywhere, if there's a building site or like if they're doing any roadworks or whatever, that it doesn't always smell very pleasant. But in Jannah, even things like that will be pleasant, will be so beautiful that we can't even begin to imagine. Like, you would never imagine cement to smell like musk in this dunya.
But even then, even if we can imagine what a musk would smell like, the musk in Jannah will be completely different than what we've ever imagined, what we've ever smelled.
Exactly.
And just like the gold bricks as well, we could imagine a brick gold, like a gold brick, so sorry, I don't know what I'm talking about, a gold brick, and we can imagine it, but it would be completely different in Jannah.
And I think what's also really important is
I'm so tired. I'm so sorry.
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about how, like, whatever happens in Jannah, we can...
It wasn't even that funny. I don't know what you guys were like.
It's been a long day. I think we're just all tired, aren't we?
Like, whatever happens in Jannah, whatever's in Jannah, whatever we gain in Jannah, we will be there forever. When you get to Jannah, that is you. You will be there forever. Now, when we're in this dunya, even if you've got, like, if you're the richest person on earth, right, and you've got absolutely everything you've ever dreamed of, you still in this dunya have that fear. You have so much fear. Like, if you've got wealth, and a lot of wealth, if you're a celebrity, for example, you've got the fear someone could come and break into your house and steal your things, or someone could like try to cause harm to you to try and get to your wealth. But in Jannah, that's not even a fear.
You haven't got any stress.
That's not a stress at all. And within this dunya, like, sometimes we get quite upset about all the negativity and all of the different aspects that we don't necessarily like. But in Jannah, there will be absolutely no negativity as well. So not only is everything going to be above and beyond what we could ever imagine or ever try and perceive, but even like the whole atmosphere of Jannah, like there'll be no negativity, no lying, no backbiting, none of that sort of evil that we see in this dunya will be in Jannah at all. So as like in addition to all of the luxuries that inshallah we will have in Jannah, but the entire environment in Jannah as well will kind of resemble peace and inshallah serenity as well.
But like subhanAllah, it doesn't even just stop there. There's so much more that we can get. And it says here that in Jannah you can never wish too big. So if you want like a big gallon of your favourite juice, and even if you just think about it, it will be right in front of you for you to drink.
Do you know what's quite funny about that? I remember when Fatima was younger, you guys would remember as well, she always said she wanted a pet giraffe.
All the time.
And she would always bang on about how she wanted she was genuinely serious, like she wanted a pet giraffe like in the house. And I remember like we were trying to explain to her how big a giraffe is, and we're like, it would never fit in our house, like even if we wanted to get you a giraffe we couldn't. And then I remember, I think it was her mum, she said to Fatima, she was like, make sure like you try your best and you work hard and you do good deeds, and inshallah in Jannah you can have a pet giraffe. And then now when I think about it, I'm like, yeah, that's true. Like it doesn't matter how absurd you think whatever this thing is that you want, if you work hard, inshallah, whatever it is that you want, whatever's in your wildest imagination, inshallah, if you work hard in this dunya, you can have whatever you want in Jannah. Like Fatima said, nothing is too big to wish for in Jannah
and the
at all.
fact that you're in Jannah forever, and you're young forever in Jannah, that this life is only like a short
Compared to forever.
Compared to forever, exactly.
Yeah,
so
do you know, some scholars have actually, just before, sorry, you continue, some scholars have actually described this dunya like, you know how like we have the entire ocean? Imagine the entire ocean as like the rest of eternity, and see if you take a drop of water from that ocean, that is what this dunya is like in comparison to the eternity of the afterlife.
That's so crazy,
that's something that we
isn't it?
need to remember as well, because sometimes in this dunya we find it hard to give up certain things, but we need to remember that whatever it is we're giving up, we're only giving it up for like a very, very short amount of time. And when we get, inshallah, when we get to Jannah, we will forget every single little thing that we ever sacrificed or that ever hurt us in this dunya, because Jannah will take like all that pain away, inshallah.
It's just so exciting to think about that, isn't it? It just puts you in a good mood, like as it is. Like you're not even there yet. Inshallah, we will get there. But like just thinking about it and just talking about it really.
I
does
really
put you in a good
enjoyed
mood.
this topic because we have like details of every single thing that will happen in Jannah, and we have a little detail about the food and drink. And it says that simple meals will be served like royal banquets.
Subhanallah.
So even just like breakfast.
I was just thinking, like, if you want a packet of crisps and then it'll just be served as like a royal banquet, things like that.
How cool is that?
That's the thing, because like, you know how I don't know if the boys and girls do this, right, but sometimes like when we're just sitting about, like we might watch like documentaries about the royal family, and you sit there and you think, do they seriously live on like the same planet as us?
Exactly,
like the kind of things, like I think I heard like a while back, like the Queen, she actually has someone like employed to like break in her shoes for her, so like her shoes don't hurt her feet, and like things like that, and you think, is that for real? But in Jannah, when inshallah when we all get there, we'll all be treated like royalty, but not royalty like royalty in this world royalty, but
It's a
on a
whole
completely
other level.
different level.
Definitely.
It's like the houses, for example, was one thing. Now we see a house here, we have so many different types of houses, big houses, small houses, flats, like detached houses and all of that, but in Jannah, houses aren't just going to be houses, they're going to be mansions. Subhanallah. So even like when we say house, we instantly think of like whatever we attribute a house to be like, but in Jannah, even just a simple house is going to be so much more than we can imagine. And then we're actually told that in Jannah there will be rooms, so within these houses, within these mansions, there will be rooms, and in every room there will be 70,000 dining sheets. So 70,000 places where you can sit and have a meal.
That's
in
how
the
big the
one
room will be.
in the
room.
one room. Subhanallah, 70,000. I don't even think I could imagine 70,000 like dinner tables in like the one area. Like I don't
think it's possible.
I can never even
Even in
to
a mansion
that.
on this earth, in any mansion, you wouldn't be able to fit 70,000.
Doesn't matter how big
I
a
know, it's
mansion
crazy.
is, you cannot. So that's one thing, right? But it gets better, because on those 70,000 dining sheets, there will be 70,000 types of food served. on each and every one of them.
I don't even think there's
Subhanallah.
70,000 different types of food on this
On
planet.
this earth,
No,
no.
exactly.
On this earth.
The only thing I'm thinking about right now is that you could eat as much as you want and you would never be
have the trouble
have
of, being unhealthy.
Exactly, yeah, you
Yeah.
could just eat whatever you want.
And you know what's also really interesting about Jannah, and this actually made me really happy. You know how sometimes when you're eating, right, and you're eating something that you really really enjoy, but when you get full, and then you think, oh, I wish I wasn't full, so I could keep eating it because you enjoy eating it. See, in Jannah, you're not going to get full. In the fact that you can
Subhanallah.
keep eating as much as you want, as much as it will make you happy, and then you won't even need to you know all the kind of negative side effects of eating, going to the toilet and stuff. You wouldn't even need to go to the toilet in Jannah.
And that's the ultimate dream, isn't it?
That's
Just eating as much
eat
as you want. That is
And
the dream.
you can eat whatever you want in Jannah, but you will still be it won't impact you negatively. We know in this dunya, if we overeat, yeah, there will be so many health risks and stuff associated with that, but there will be none of that in Jannah. Inshallah, we can eat to our heart's content and even beyond our heart's content
Inshallah,
if we
look
wanted
after
to.
our health in this world. So
Inshallah.
inshallah, in Jannah we can just go for
Inshallah.
it.
And can I also just add on to what I was talking about? So again, let's try. I mean, we can try and imagine, but I don't think we can actually imagine even just this,
Just
what this will be like.
It to the best of your ability, and then times that by a
A
billion.
billion. So we're talking about this one room that will have 70,000 dining sheets, right? Places to eat. Then on these dining sheets, there will be 70,000 types of food, right? But even in addition to all of that, we won't even need to lift a finger to get whatever food it is we want to, because we will be served by 80,000 young servants within this banquet.
80,000.
80,000. So you know sometimes when you go to a restaurant, right, and how important do you feel when you don't really need to move, and you like that kind of luxury of just sit there, tell them what you want, they bring the food to your table, you don't even need to get up to go get your food. You begin to think that's a luxury. But in Jannah, even that whole experience is taken to a whole other
You
level.
don't even need to say
80,000.
Bajalina, can you pass me the water?
Yeah.
It'll just be right there in front
If
of
you
you.
think of it, it'll be
It'll
there.
be there. Subhanallah. It's
Subhanallah.
you know how when you think when you watch movies that are to do with magic and stuff, and you think, oh, that maybe that's what Jannah's there'll be magic in Jannah. The entire Jannah itself is just magic entirely. You know how we were saying as well that in this dunya, sometimes if you want something, you ask for it and you have to keep asking for it, and you still might not get it. But in Jannah, you won't even need to say what it is you want. You think it, inshallah, and it will be in front of you. I remember when I was younger, my mum was telling me this, and I have a crazy obsession with fruit. If anyone knows, I love
so bad.
fruit, right?
She eats it all the time.
I could literally, see if you were to put any fruit in front of me, I could eat it all if I wanted to, and if I didn't care about sharing, which I sometimes don't. So I remember when I was younger, I was really obsessed with grapes, and my mum used to say to me, and she was you leave some for other people, we all want some grapes as well. And I was but Mama, I just want to eat them all. And she was well then work hard and make sure that inshallah you do good deeds, and in Jannah you can eat as many grapes as you want. And then I remember when I was younger, and that image stuck in my head, and I could just imagine myself just eating
loads of grapes.
all the
A big
grapes,
tray of grapes.
literally. And then on top of that, I wouldn't even inshallah when we go there, we wouldn't even need to ask for anything. You just imagine it, you just think it in your head, and it will be there in front of you. So,
What more could
what
you
more
want?
luxury could you want? I don't think there's anything more luxurious. Because even if you think about the most richest person on earth just now, no, as rich as they are, no one can really read their mind. You can't look at them and think, oh, I think that's what he wants right now, or that's what she wants right now. They would still need to ask for what they want, or ask for what it is they need. But in Jannah, even that need is taken away from us. Subhanallah.
SubhanAllah, and we've just had a beautiful picture painted to us of what inshallah we can achieve if we strive really hard in this dunya and we work really hard to do everything to the best of our ability, and especially practice our deen to the best of our ability. But for just now, while we have this beautiful picture in our heads of what Jannah inshallah will be like for us, we're going to go for a short break. So inshallah we will come back from the break and hopefully talk a little bit more about Jannah, and we have a lot of other segments as well. So until then, we'll see you. Assalamu alaikum.
For the moon and the stars, praise Him all day for what is and what was. Take hold of your iman, don't give in to shaitan. Oh, you who believe, please give thanks to Allah.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome to the second half of Ramadan with the Rafis. We hope that the first half did bring you a little bit of joy and a little bit of excitement, because we were talking about Jannah, and just talking about Jannah just really does brighten us up and just makes you happy. It puts you in a good mood, doesn't it? So inshallah, we hope that us talking about Ramadan has put you in a good mood and has made you motivated to strive that little bit extra, especially in Ramadan, and also inshallah out with Ramadan. I said without Ramadan, I meant to say out with Ramadan. So for just now, before we go back to talking a little bit more about Jannah, we're going to take a little break in that, and we're going to go to Dr. Dean, because we do have another spiritual problem today. So Fatma, do you know what the spiritual problem is?
Yes, I do. So a young girl phoned in, and she was quite embarrassed about this actually.
Okay.
She was she was speaking quite quietly, and asked her what was wrong, and she said when she's out, if she's on her walk of the day, and she has something in her pocket that she needs to put in the bin, but she can't find, there's not any bins on the streets or anything, so she just throws it on the ground, and she's wondering if this is okay.
So she's asking about littering, basically?
Yeah.
Right, okay, that's a very important question, and inshallah we're going to pose it to our doctor. Assalamu alaikum, doctor.
Assalamu alaikum. So as you said, mashallah, that is a very important question.
I'm so sorry.
I think she's got the giggles today.
Yeah,
Inshallah, I'll prescribe something for your giggles later.
You should.
I think she's just laughing because she remembered when she said something wrong in the previous half.
Yeah.
It just brought back.
It's just getting to me.
Inshallah, we'll fix your
But
giggles.
this patient is
Let
a
us
bit
deal,
worried.
let us
so
deal
we
with
need
this
to-
patient first, inshallah.
Definitely
So,
go for it.
now, this is very important because a lot of the time we think, especially, we're talking about taqwa. I think you guys were talking about taqwa a few days ago, and we were saying that sometimes when Ramadan finishes, for example, we kind of forget that whole idea of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is always watching us. When it comes to little things like this, we also forget that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is watching us, and sometimes we don't actually think that these kind of things can have a negative impact on us spiritually in any way. But so this patient was asking that sometimes when she's out and about and on her walk, for example, and she's got something that she needs to put in the bin, but she can't find a bin. So she was asking, is it okay, maybe from an Islamic perspective, if I was just to throw that, whatever that is, onto the floor or onto the ground? So first things first, no, that is not okay. So from an Islamic point of view, from a moral point of view, from an ethical point of view, that is not good, because if we were all to even throw one piece of rubbish onto the ground and not put it in the bin, imagine for example, there's how many people in the UK? 2 million? 2 billion?
There's I think
Not
Scotland
2 billion.
is about 7 million. So
Okay, so
we're
say
a bit more
Scotland, right, if every single person was to dump even one bit of rubbish onto the ground, how much more messier would our streets be? And we know, obviously, some countries, for example, where they don't pick up the rubbish or they don't have bins everywhere like we do, you see rubbish lying about, and it does kind of make you feel it kind of creates a negative atmosphere. And on top of that, we need to remember that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has actually given us the responsibility to look after this earth. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, like we've said before, every single thing mentioned in the Quran is mentioned there because it's really, really important. Now, believe it or not, this is actually mentioned in the Quran. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has told us that I have made you khalifas upon the earth. And the word khalifa just kind of means a guardian or someone who looks after something. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made us the guardians of this earth. And if you think about it, out of all of the creation on this earth, so there's human beings, there's animals, there's plants, all of these different types of creation, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us, the human beings, this responsibility. Because if you think about it, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made us as human beings different from other creation because we've got intellect. And because we've got intellect, we should use our intellect for positive things. So for example, the animals might not know any better. They just kind of work through instinct. They kind of live their lives the way that they've been programmed to, whereas we have the ability to know what's right and what's wrong. So the first thing that I would like to say to this patient is that no, you should not just throw your rubbish on the floor. It doesn't matter if it's something small, even how the wrappers of straws from juice cartons, even if it's something like that and you think that's just little and someone might not even see that on the floor, but we still know that we should not ever throw anything onto the floor. And although obviously it has a negative impact on like how something looks, how a street looks or how an area looks, but it could also endanger animals. So sometimes like we know through like different types of, for example, like bottles, for example, that don't have lids on them. Sometimes some animals can try and like get some remaining like juice or whatever out of the bottle and get stuck in the bottle. And different parts, like different types of litter can endanger different animals in that way as well. And we know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has told us it's very important for us to look after obviously each other, but obviously look after the other living things on this earth as well. So plants and animals are included in that as well. And we've spoken about this before as well, how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us some things as like a trust, as like an amana. Like we don't own these things, they're not ours, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given it to us to look after for a certain amount of time. And our bodies are one of those things. So like we say, oh, this is like my hands or my feet, but our body isn't actually our body. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given it to us to look after for a certain amount of time. And the earth is like that as well. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us this like temporary home for us to look after, for us to use and for us to live on while we're in this dunya. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has also given us the responsibility to look after it. So just like we look after our own homes, our own rooms, for example, we need to make sure that we extend that into the community as well, and we look after our environment as well. Because there's a lot of people that are campaigning about like being like eco-friendly and not wasting things and reduce, reuse, recycle. And some people might be thinking that's all quite new, like we never used to talk about these things before, but we can see because this is mentioned in the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has told us that this is one of our additional responsibilities, that we have actually, our deen is a green deen, and we've been told all of these things over 1400 years ago. So it's very important for us to make sure to understand that we cannot litter, and in fact we shouldn't add to the problem, we should try and fix the problem. So if you see someone littering, or if you see some litter, if it's safe for you to do so, pick it up and dispose of it properly, inshallah. And that way we can, inshallah, we can fulfill our duty of being khalifas of this earth.
Jazakallah khair, Doctor. That's very, very good advice. And I was just thinking when you were talking there that you said that it was something that we've been told about in our deen, in the Quran, and the Quran was revealed so long ago, and the whole reduce, reuse, recycle thing is relatively new, like not very, very new, but it's relatively new. And inshallah, we're trying to get the whole society as a whole, in the UK as a whole, and maybe other countries as well, are trying to get into the way of recycling a whole lot more, so we can look after the earth, so we're not making so many landfill sites, etc., etc. And because we want to take care of our planet, and inshallah we want it to be there as long as we possibly can. So I think that it's really cool how it's been told for so long.
Sorry.
No, it's fine.
As you were saying, like it's mentioned in the Quran, but it's not just like we've spoken about before. The Quran and Sunnah go hand in hand.
Yes, they do.
And it's not just in the Quran; it's in Sunnah as well. And I was thinking I might just like pop in my little step to Jannah here because it ties in really well. So today's step to Jannah, or today's good deed, is literally what Dr. Dean was just speaking about, and it's to help keep your environment clean.
Oh, okay.
So you can do this by removing litter from the earth that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created, and this will surely benefit you. And I have a hadith about this, and the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, removing harmful things from the road is an act of charity.
An act of charity.
How amazing is that?
Wow.
And I remember there was a caller who phoned in to Dr. Dean, and he was worried that he didn't have enough money to give to charity, and Dr. Dean said that you could like smile at, like you can do
There's many other ways.
There's other ways to
will,
give charity.
Yeah, exactly.
And this is one of them, that picking harmful things from the road. So it's not just litter. If you see if you're on your walk and you see a little pin on the road, and if you're with your parent, you can just ask your mum to pick that up, because it might harm someone if they walk on it. So just like that, those small things are sadaqah, which is amazing.
Wow, that's really, really
That
good.
is
And
amazing.
it ties in with what we were talking about as well. They all just kind of link in together, and all these things, like we can always learn something, especially from our spiritual surgery, and how that has given us a beautiful step to Jannah. Like something so little as moving something out of harm, moving something that could be harmful out of someone's way is just amazing. So it could be in any sort of circumstance, and I know sometimes in school it happens that maybe you're walking and there's been a chair that's been placed in a weird way that you know if someone comes around the corner they're going to trip over it. Or you see like it's often times that there's pins in school that keep stuff on the wall and they could fall out like wee tacks. So it's better if we can pick them up and remove them, and then that might help someone because it's removing it from their way so they don't get harmed by it. Because I remember when I was in primary, that there was a boy in my class, and we were just, I don't know what we were doing, I think it was like golden time or something, and you could just hear him, and he screamed all of a sudden, and we were like, oh no, what's wrong? We were turning around to see if he was okay, and he ended up stepping on one of those pins, and it went right into his foot. And just to think that if someone saw that and was to pick it up, then it would have saved him so much pain and so much bother.
And not only does this benefit you by getting reward and doing sadaqah, but it also benefits another person that could have gotten hurt.
Yeah,
Do you know what? I have a story actually related to that as well. I remember when I was in primary school, and I think it was PE, and we were changing to get ready for PE, and I think actually no, we were changing back after PE, and one of the girls in the class, she'd taken her earrings out because you couldn't have your earrings in for PE, but she'd left them so the jaggy side was like pointing up, and one of the other girls, she was like, I think she was going to she was like leaning on something, and she put her hand down, and she ended up putting her hand on both of the earrings, and they got stuck in her hand. And like even at that point, the teacher, when she came in to help her, and she was saying like, you need to kind of think ahead and make sure that even if you're putting your own things down, make sure you don't put it in a way that someone could get hurt. Like even sometimes like in school, when people are sitting about, they might just leave like their school bags. I know like in high school that happens a lot, like in the corridors
Leave
or
them
on
in the
stairs,
corridors,
and they just leave them lying about. But we need to make sure that we can kind of look ahead and say like, could this harm someone? And if you think it could, even if there's like a very slight possibility, then you should try your best to inshallah remove whatever that thing is so that no one gets hurt.
Yeah, exactly, and that just brings us one step closer to Jannah, inshallah, which we were talking about before the break, and inshallah we're going to talk a little bit more about it just now. And we just wanted to talk a little bit about the characteristics of the people who will be in Jannah. And that just basically means characteristics are just how they act or how they carry themselves, or basically what their character is like.
And I think it's important, sorry, for us to talk about this so we know the kind of characteristics that we need to have so that inshallah we can be of the people of Jannah as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Definitely,
It's just
inshallah.
really good advice for us. So inshallah we'll start off by a hadith from the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and it says, I guarantee a house in Jannah for one who gives up arguing even if he is right. And I guarantee a home in the middle of Jannah for one who abandons lying even for the sake of fun. And I guarantee a house in the highest part of Jannah for one who has good manners.
Subhanallah.
So the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is guaranteed, put a stamp of guarantee on the fact that if you do these three things, or if you do at least one of these three things, then you're guaranteed a house in Jannah. And not just any, and they're put in like different places from each other.
Yeah.
Sorry, I think it's important that we need to know, like, is the first thing it said that who gives up on arguing even if he's in the right, but that just doesn't mean like if me and Aisha are arguing and I give up once, I can't think, oh my god, I have a house in Jannah, like I don't need to do anything good ever again.
Yeah.
That's not the case. That I know it's hard, like we all know it's really hard to give up arguing, especially when you're right, but it's important to know that it's not just if you do it once then you get a house, that you need to keep practicing it.
And if you give it up for the sake of just so that it doesn't escalate any further, and so that we can keep peace in, say, a house, or say peace within your friendship or peace within your family, then that's the type of arguing that we're talking about.
That's what I was going to say, because even like for this, I mean, it's hard enough to do regardless of the situation, but if you do it and if you like back down from an argument, even if you are totally convinced you're right, and that's really hard to do, like if you're trying to tell someone something and they're not listening, but you know deep down that you are right, for you to back down. But if you back down with the intention that I'm doing this for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because usually when we're arguing, like that's when our egos come in the way, and especially if you know you're right, like it's very hard to back down from that. But if you at that point can suppress your ego and like you can say, okay, I'm doing this only because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us to, and for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's that sacrifice, inshallah, and that fact that you've constrained your ego so much that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is then willing to like reward you in this way. And this is what I was talking about, like if you think about the dunya and the struggles of the dunya, and then you look at Jannah, sometimes it feels like the struggle here is like so small, but the reward in Jannah can be so big. Like we've just spoken about what the houses in Jannah will be like, and you are now getting, like, this is a guarantee that inshallah if you're able to do that, you can get a house in Jannah just like that. How hard is it to get a house in this dunya? Like people save their entire lives to try and get a house in this dunya, and still people find it hard. But in Jannah, inshallah, this is how, like, I'm not saying it's easy, like it's easy peasy, like it is hard, right? It will be hard, but that little bit of hardship, inshallah, will have so much more reward. And just like a little thing that I read a few days ago, which I thought was really interesting, and how we can understand what the reward of Jannah is going to be like. And I don't know if it's like a direct quotation from someone, or if they just kind of written this as like what they were thinking, but they were saying that, you know how when you're fasting and obviously you go through the day and you do feel moments of hunger, moments of tiredness, moments of like thirst, and there are like moments where you do feel quite weak, and all of these different things, these different hardships that come in our fasts. But you know how like when you are sitting at the like table ready for iftar, and see as soon as like you take the first bite of like that date, or you have the drink of water, and like I don't know about you guys as well, no matter how hard the fast has been that day, as soon as you have that first bite or that first sip of water, you almost like forget every single thing that happened in that day. You forget all those pangs of hunger, you forget the thirst, you forget all those hardships. And that is what someone had attributed Jannah to be like. So see the minute, inshallah, when we step into Jannah,
Inshallah.
just the way that you forget that whole like hardship of fasting of that day, inshallah, when you just step one foot into Jannah, you will forget every single hardship that you've ever faced on this dunya. Even if, like, say for example, you lived to like 100 years and you had like one of the toughest tests by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, even then, one foot in Jannah, inshallah, and you will forget all of that, inshallah.
And it was just so nice to hear that you'll have a house, your house is guaranteed, but inshallah at different levels. So if you do give up argument, even if you're in the right, then inshallah you'll get a house in Jannah. But then there's the other type of person that has good manners, and the person that has good manners will have a house, but not just any house, a house in the highest rank of Jannah, so which is just amazing.
And that's what we ask for as well. Obviously we ask for Jannah, but then inshallah we always ask for Jannatul Firdaus, the highest level of Jannah, because we always want the best of the best, inshallah.
Definitely, inshallah.
And there's another cool fact here that you were actually really excited to tell me. And it said that in Jannah, the height of every Muslim that is in Jannah, it will be equal to the height of Adam alayhi salam, which is actually, it's 60 arms, which is actually 90 feet tall.
90 feet.
90 feet tall.
Yes.
That is
Wow.
So we're all like average, like just about 5 foot, just over 5 foot, yeah? See, like when, even if you see someone who's like, one of our uncles for example is like 7 foot,
yeah.
and genuinely like
He looks like a skyscraper.
Like a giant. Imagine someone who's 90 feet
But
tall.
everyone would be 90 feet tall, so it
Yeah.
kind of just
So it would look
feels
normal. Yeah.
So like we wouldn't be midgets anymore. Like that's why I've
we
got
say all
so
the time that we're small, like
So like if you aren't insecure but you're height in this world, then inshallah when you're in Jannah
You'll
you'll
be
be
super tall.
90 feet tall, and that will make up for it.
exactly, subhanallah. And also another thing that's really important, like inshallah, the people of Jannah, like these are the characteristics of the people who are then like the people of Jannah. And we know like from Prophet stories, inshallah, if you've studied the story of Yusuf alayhi salam, we all know that in the Quran as well, we're told that Yusuf alayhi salam had like immense beauty. He was blessed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and had like, he was like the most beautiful person, and inshallah the people of Jannah, it said, will have beauty like that of Yusuf alayhi salam. Subhanallah. And we've heard of the story of Yusuf alayhi salam, and we've heard of his beauty and what it was like, and inshallah the people of Jannah will be given that type of beauty as well. So the beauty of this world can sometimes be like, especially nowadays, can be quite fake. Like a lot of people are just use filters or Photoshop or makeup to make themselves seem beautiful or what they believe is beautiful. But the beauty of Jannah and the beauty that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala creates, and that nur that the people of Jannah are going to have, that light that they're going to have, is like beyond what any makeup or any filter or any Photoshop can do. So inshallah that is what we need to aim for.
Inshallah, we will have the height of Adam alayhi salam, we will have the beauty of Yusuf alayhi salam, and we will have the age of Isa alayhi salam. So we'll all be roughly the same age, so about 30, so a young adult, round about that age. And we will all have the sweetness of voice that will be of Dawud alayhi salam. So we all know that Dawud alayhi salam would recite beautifully, he had a beautiful voice, and inshallah in Jannah we will all manage to have beautiful voices. And I know sometimes, like when you're singing, maybe you have a wee tune stuck in your head, and sometimes you sing and you're like, oh, I wish I sounded really good. Like I wish I could actually sing. And inshallah in Jannah we will have that.
Inshallah.
given to us like on a plate, and it will just be part
And
of
not
us.
just that, there's a really important bullet point here that it's a story that we've spoken about and that we admire to be like, and you'll have the patience of Ayyub alayhi salam.
Subhanallah. And we've spoken about Ayyub alayhi salam's story, and we've spoken about his patience, and subhanallah, all of these things will be like attributes of the people of Jannah.
Definitely.
Subhanallah.
So it's almost as though we have like the best qualities of each of the prophets in us, subhanallah. So
Subhanallah.
what else could you want?
Exactly. I think the best one of them always this last bullet point that we have here, and it says that we will have the habits of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
Subhanallah.
Which is
That's
just amazing.
I know.
So for just now, that is. Oh, just dropped my pen. For just now, that is all we have of talking about Jannah. So it's been such a wonderful time talking about Jannah.
It's a
hasn't
bit sad that we only have like a limited amount of time to
Yeah,
speak about it, 'cause
exactly.
there's so much to speak about.
This is just like a little
Wee taster.
nugget of what Jannah actually is. But inshallah, for just now, we're going to go over to Amna, who has another flower for her beautiful garden. So inshallah, we'll see what Amna has for us.
Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum everyone. We're back with my gratitude garden. And it's looking quite good so far, if I say so myself.
It is.
And alhamdulillah, we have another thing that we are grateful for today. And I've already decorated the flower, and I've already stuck the stem on because I'm so ready to get into it.
Eager.
I know, I'm so
You're
eager. Definitely. So who wants to tell us what we're grateful for today?
Okay, so the thing, or do you guys want to say it?
No, you
Okay.
go.
So the thing that we're grateful for today is actually a very personal reflection of how we're feeling today.
Yes.
So we're all quite sleep deprived today. So
I mean, it's been a long time coming, so we've
Yeah.
kind of been sleep deprived for a few days, and then today has just been like the peak of it.
it's been a build up.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, I think a lot of us kind of our sleeping patterns are a bit messed up during Ramadan anyway, because we're getting up at times that we don't usually do, and we're going to sleep at times we don't usually do. But alhamdulillah, I think now with being in lockdown, for a lot of people, like it won't be as bad because we don't actually have like places to go. But if you are still like working, or if you've still got like uni exams and stuff, then unfortunately
Don't
you
get
still
to
have to get up.
rest. I know.
But so the thing that we are actually grateful for today, that we appreciate now more than probably ever before, is our sleep.
Sleep. I think sometimes we underestimate the power of
Oh, yeah.
sleep and the importance of it, and sometimes we think, oh, I can stay up all night and watch this TV show or do this or do that,
Yeah.
and we forget how important it
Sometimes
is.
you actually get annoyed when, like, if your parents tell you, like, alright, it's too late now, you need to go to
Yeah,
sleep. You're like, no,
exactly.
I want to stay up.
Exactly.
But-
But we actually forget how important it is to regenerate our body and to kind of re-energize ourselves. And for the past couple of days when we've not had as much sleep as normal,
Yeah.
maybe no sleep, we've really struggled to kind of keep our concentration.
Function.
And I've just been talking absolute nonsense for the past few days. Like, I don't even know what I'm talking
I
about
can
anymore.
vouch
This is
for
our
that.
sensible self on camera, behind the scenes. It's
I
not
know.
like this.
Honestly, I've just been a mess without sleep. So that's what we're grateful for today. And inshallah, I'm going to stick it into my garden. And as you can see, I was going to stick it in backwards because I don't have enough sleep.
Boys and girls, let this be a lesson on how important sleep is.
I know it is very
Stick it in
important.
backwards.
And we need to be grateful, boys and girls, at the fact that some of us are out there that find it really, really hard to go to sleep,
Yeah,
and people
exactly.
have insomnia, and it's.
It's a
Sometimes we
genuine
take it
thing.
for granted. I know, alhamdulillah, I have an easy time going to sleep. I can just go into bed and that's me asleep.
I'm
So
Me
easy.
and Amna are the complete opposite. Like, if I go to bed, it takes me like
And if
an hour.
It takes me
maybe
at
to
least
fall
an hour.
asleep.
And if
Yeah.
there's just that one night that I'm like, I don't know, for some reason I can't get to sleep, I find it so difficult and I get annoyed at
It's
myself.
annoying
Like,
if
why
you're
am I
just
not going to
tossing
sleep?
and turning.
Yeah, exactly. So we just need to be grateful for the fact that we do get to go to sleep, and we can go to sleep peacefully. There's no threat of violence, there's no threat of war over our
Exactly.
heads. There's people in countries that have that and can't sleep peacefully. So alhamdulillah, we're so blessed that we do have this peaceful sleep.
That's what I
Definitely.
was going to say, because like we talk a lot about peace, and we talk a lot about how alhamdulillah lots of different things bring us peace, but we don't actually understand, like, see, like blessings like sleep, for example, like that's the thing. Ask someone who has a difficult time sleeping, or some people, for example, like you were saying, like that live in war-torn countries, they, as much as they want to sleep, they can't sleep in peace because of fear of their house being destroyed or their family being taken away from them. And there's so many people around the world that are living in that fear of their own lives and their own safety. stops them from going to sleep. And when we do go to sleep, like if you have been really tired and you do actually get to sleep, and when you wake up, you feel like a whole completely new person. Like you feel like you've totally been like rejuvenated, and that's what it's all for. And we know as well from like a biological point of view that it's so important for us to get sleep. And I know like sometimes like, when you get a bit older, I think you appreciate your sleep a lot more, because I remember, I think I was talking to Amna about this, and I was like, you know how like young kids, and when they're like 2 or 3 and like they usually nap during the day, but you see like they're adamant that they don't want to go to sleep. And me and Amna were talking about it the other day. We're like why were we ever
it's
not wanting
flipped.
to go to sleep? Yeah.
Now I want to go to sleep all the time, and I'm like, why do I need to do work when I want to go to sleep?
Exactly.
So it's completely flipped. But
So if you are still young enough for it to be acceptable for you to still have naps, please do.
make the most of it.
Make the most of it, inshallah, because it is a blessing at the end of the day. It's something that we should be grateful for, and we should be grateful for the fact that we have roofs over our heads, we're safe when we sleep, inshallah, and we are able to kind of regain our energy for another day on comfy beds, alhamdulillah, with nice duvets, and we're all nice and warm and dry as well, because a lot of people don't even have those blessings that we do. So make sure that you thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for all of that as well.
Definitely, and I think that talking about sleep leads us swiftly on to Aisha's segment. Did you know?
I literally only have a couple of minutes to tell you my facts very quickly. So I just wanted to tell you something. I had a fact about sleep. It's not something that we want to copy, but it's just something I thought was really cool. So just very quickly, the world record for the longest time gone without sleep is 11 days. And it was set by a 17-year-old boy from America. He went 11 days without sleep.
That's
so
crazy.
we don't recommend that, but
We don't
that is a
recommend
world
it.
record.
Do not try this at home.
Exactly. That was a world record for the longest time gone without sleep. So inshallah, that just shows us that we can be very grateful for our sleep, and that we should always be thankful for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that we have the ability to go to sleep, and that we're safe when we sleep. So Jazakallah khair, sisters, for such a lovely show today. And inshallah, we'll be back with another show as well for you. We hope you enjoyed today's show. I know we were a little bit all over the place today. We were a little bit giggly, a little bit tired. But I mean, we have our days. We're also human as well. So inshallah, we really hope you enjoyed it, and we hope that you can join us for our next show as well. But until then, stay home, stay safe, and assalamu alaikum.